go live. So I definitely always do a live stream on this channel. I also go live on my Facebook page, which is the same name, Marianne Hanson Counselling Service. And then occasionally I'll go live on my on TikTok. I haven't been live on TikTok for a while, so I might do that today. Instagram as well. I'll put all the details of where you can find me on my other social media platforms, and you can check that out. So this is something that comes up for a lot of clients that I work with, and also it's just something in the conversations that I have with family or with friends. This is just a general thing about 5 reasons people struggle to be themselves. So if you go on social media, generally you'll have lots of different people that are normally presenting themselves in particular ways. And that can either be people that say that they struggle to fit in certain situations. Maybe it's at work, maybe it's with their family, maybe it's with friends. Or you have the other end where people are kind of putting forward this image of themselves, which isn't true. And lots of people might know that it's not true, but to them it feels like they have to do that. So these are 5 reasons that people struggle to be themselves. And the first one is social conditioning and social expectations. So this can come under anything. I've put that it includes male and female roles. So how men think that women should be in society, how women think that men should be. This can have a massive impact on how people, if you don't fit in with that narrative that people think you should, then you are going to struggle to be yourself. Because if someone says that as a man you should, earn a certain amount of money, drive a particular car, you should look a certain way, you should have certain muscles, you should, yes, a physical appearance, financial stability, and all this other stuff. If that's what society is saying that you should be, and when I say society, the majority of people are saying that, if you don't then fit in with that, then you're going to feel there's something wrong with you, or you're going to feel that, okay, I can't be myself because I'm not going to be accepted in that way. So then you either pretend to be someone else, or you have like low self-esteem because you can't accept who you are. And it's the same as with women as well. There is lots of pressure on men and women in general, but it's whether you decide to take that pressure on board or not. I don't care what anyone thinks about whether women of a certain age should wear certain types of lipstick, should wear certain godly Appia, whether they should wear a certain length of skirt, whether they should wear their hair in a particular way. To me, it's irrelevant. It's so irrelevant, because if someone wants to dress a certain way, wear makeup, don't wear makeup, wear your hair a particular way. And same as with men, if you want to dress a particular way, do whatever, then to me it's got nothing to do with society at all. It's to do with you. And that's why you have to make a decision that if you say to yourself that being yourself is the most important thing, and being yourself is more important to you than any other thing, then what other people are saying does not fit in. The other part is, which comes into social conditioning, is people sacrificing themselves so that they can fit in, so that they can be held in high regard within certain communities, within certain groups. And there's loads of people that do that. So a good example would be people will put on certain accents when they don't really speak that way. People will go to places where they don't really want to be there, but they think by saying, okay, I'm going to go to the theatre, or I'm going to spend time in this particular area, or I'm going to do these types of things, when if that's not really who you are, but you might think that you're going to get more credit from certain people if you do those things. It works for a little bit, because maybe doing those things means that people look at you in a particular way. Maybe you're welcomed into certain communities, but it doesn't work long term. There's nothing that you can do that goes outside of being your authentic self that is going to be sustainable. You're either going to end up with mental health issues because you're going to be putting on this mask, putting on this act, and you're going to eventually break because no one wants to pretend, or it's going to lead you down a path where you didn't really want to be. You're going to end up somewhere in this fantasy world where eventually you look around and you think, what's going on here? I don't belong here. I didn't want to be here. I don't like it here. What do I do now? Who am I? Type thing. So societal conditions and expectations are really a massive influence on lots of people. So the key thing with that really is you need to decide quite early on, do you care what society thinks, or are you going to do what feels right to you? And this comes back to, I've made so many videos around like being confident in the decisions you make, not having regrets about some of the things that you do, not copying other people, not comparing yourself to other people, just being yourself. And the more you become yourself and you do things that are in your best interests, the easier it's going to become. So that's the first one. The second one is being a people pleaser. I've made a video about this as well, which you can watch on this channel. So being a people pleaser means you want to be liked, that you need approval from other people, you need validation from others, and you have a strong need to fit in and to blend. So is that Abby or Ali? So I've got Ali. So you've put, afternoon, Ali, no problem. So if you are a people pleaser, it means that you really struggle to be yourself because you don't know what that looks like, because it's in relation to other people. So a people pleaser really gets their validation from doing things for other people, because that's how they get, that's how they know that they are who they are. So it's really, I'm making it more complicated than it needs to be. It just means that you please people more than you please yourself. So if you are constantly doing things for other people and you get, gratitude from that, you get thank you from that, you get validation, you are told this person is so reliable, everyone's saying to you, you are so reliable. Oh, I'm so glad I can depend on you. I'm so glad that you're here. I'm so glad that you're always doing things for me. Then that's what you internalize. And what that then means is when you then have to say no, or when you then have to do something which is in your best interest or for you, you can't do it, because the pain of letting someone else down is bigger than the pain of saying no. Because the guilt that you're going to feel by saying no means that that's why lots of people continue to be people pleasers. It doesn't matter how much work is, they work on it. They just can't release the fact that the minute they say no to someone, or the minute they put themselves first, they just feel too much guilt. So then they continue to just do this. So the problem with being a people pleaser is you're only ever going to know what other people think about you. You're only going to know your value through other people. You're not going to give yourself a chance to value yourself through what you do for yourself. You're never going to give yourself a chance to just be yourself and to just say no. You can't live in a world where you say yes to absolutely everyone and everything, and then you say no to yourself in the meantime as well. So being a people pleaser is definitely not a way to just be yourself and to be authentic, because you're only really doing most things for other people. So you can't really say that you're being yourself, because you're just doing things based on what other people want and need. So the third one, this is like a major thing that that gets in the way of people being themselves, and that is childhood issues or past events. Now, it doesn't mean that you have to have gone through childhood trauma in order to struggle with self-esteem or struggle with being your authentic self. It could just be that you didn't receive unconditional positive regard, we call it in counselling, but you just didn't receive warmth, you didn't receive praise, you didn't have a parent or a family that would tell you how good you are. You didn't have someone that would say when you achieved success that someone celebrated for you, or someone said to you, that's really good that you got that grade, or that's really good that you passed your exam, or you passed your... Now, not everyone needs that. Hi, Random Chestnut. Not everyone needs that, and I'm not saying that just because you probably were in a family where you didn't get that that's the end of the world. But how you feel about yourself, it does start from it starts from childhood, really. It doesn't mean that you can, once you become an adult, then that's it, you can't work on those things. But I'm just thinking about my own childhood, really, and it was like a game of two halves. So my mum was quite critical when I was really young, but then she learned and she became less critical, and she became, in my teenage years, that person who had you back. If someone said something about me, my mum would go in fighting. But when I was younger, it was just, you haven't done this right, you haven't done this right. Whereas my dad, look, I had my dad on that side, was constantly saying how proud he was of me, constantly saying, you know, you've got this, constantly saying, don't ever compare yourself to other people. That's some of the messages I grew up with my dad. I carried through my whole adult life, because it was like he would say, don't look at what someone is wearing or what someone has, or don't look at this. You don't know how they got it, and you don't need to be covered. He said, don't covet other people. And he'd always just tell us that how wonderful we were, and how good we were. And every single time I was around my dad, he would give you those compliments to make you feel strong. So what I'm trying to say really is that you don't necessarily need that in that regard. But if you were always told you were stupid, or you were told that you're not good enough, or you were told you were going to amount to nothing, then deep down, if a parent is saying that to you, you believe it because it's coming from someone you trust. It's coming from someone who you love. So imagine someone, the closest person in your life, telling you that you're nothing. Then if a stranger says the opposite to you, oh, I really love you, or I really like this about you, why are you going to believe? You're going to think, why am I going to believe a stranger when my parents were saying the opposite? You're going to believe your parents. So the reason sometimes people can't be themselves is because if when they were themselves, people were criticizing that version of themselves and saying you're stupid, and you're a naughty child, and you've always been a difficult person to be around, or these sorts of things, they're going to hold on to that. So then they don't want to show those parts of themselves, because they don't want the person to turn around and say, you're not good enough. So every time people keep using this term, I don't feel good enough, or I don't deserve someone, it's really about looking at where is that coming from. Why don't you feel good enough? You need to trace it back. Or you need to just say to yourself right now that just because loads of people in your life have told you that you're not this enough or that enough, or that, you know, there's always going to be, relationships is a good example, because majority of us have dated lots of different people. Maybe some lucky people met their childhood sweetheart when they were 16, they've married them, they've been with them for life. That's not the majority. You've dated lots of different people. Every person you've dated has probably had nice things to say about you, but then they've also had things that they're not happy with. If you were to then look at 10 different people, maybe you've dated, or 5 or whatever, and they've all said different things, how can you then attribute what they've all said, all these different things, and then make sense of it? Because everyone is different. So what you have to really do is think to yourself, just because lots of people tell you something, it doesn't mean it's true. Just because lots of people say you're not my preference because you're not a certain weight, you're not my preference because you don't have natural hair, you're not my... Do you know how many times you can go on social media and people have something to say, even to the most beautiful woman, even to the most handsome man? They will always find something little. This person's too skinny, this person's too this person wears too much makeup, this person has not got enough muscles. So it's coming back to this idea of you still have to push through all of that and say, well, I'm going to be myself. And what that means is that whatever I feel like doing, saying, however I feel like acting, however I feel like dressing, I own that. That's me, and that's what I'm going to do. People might not accept it, people might not be okay with it, but I'm still going to do it. So the other thing is, if you had because this is to do with the past, whether it's in relationships or whether it's in upbringing. If you had an abusive relationship or an abusive childhood, this can really have an impact on you struggling to be yourself. Because what happens is, say if you're a really confident person and you go into a relationship, and in the beginning that person is bigging up everything you are, saying to you, you're the type of man or woman that I've been looking for my whole life, and you're perfect the way that you are, and I really like this about you, I really like this side of you or that side of you. And then later in the relationship, when it becomes abusive, that person is saying, this is the reason why I'm having to hit you, or this is the reason why I'm saying these things to you, because of this side of you. The same thing that they loved in the beginning is now the thing that they hate or they're using against you. A good example would be, because I made a video about this a few months ago, when someone meets a woman who dresses quite provocative, or a woman who's very well known, so say if they date a celebrity, so they might date like Katie Price or someone, or they might date someone who's very, like, walks into the room and everyone's eyes are on them. They're attracted to that thing in the first place, but then the minute they're in a relationship with that person, they're using that same thing against them to say, well, you dress horrible, you know, you need to cover up how you dress, I don't like the way you dress. That's confusing to a person, because they're thinking, well, you was attracted to me dressed like that when I met you, but now you're saying that how I dress is horrible. So what's the right thing? And then they're trying to then become someone else. So then they start to dress more conservatively, but they don't really feel comfortable dressed like that. So then what happens is it just becomes this inner turmoil where the person is pretending to be someone that they're not. So they're unhappy because it doesn't fit with who they are. The partner is happy to a certain degree, but then they're not happy either, because they're looking at that person thinking, who's this person? This is not the person I was chatting up. So no one wins. High mark. So because you're not getting the authentic person, but then also that person is, hi Lewis, they're not being authentic either. So the point with it is, just because someone tells you, as I've said, that you're bad, that you are wrong, that you are not beautiful, that you are stupid, so just because someone might have been abusive to you in your childhood or abusive to you in your relationships, it doesn't mean that they are correct about who you are. It doesn't mean that because they pointed to a particular aspect of you and said that that is bad, that it's true. Me, like the most important thing to me is I'm going to be myself. If a person doesn't like me for who I am, they can tell me that. They can disagree with me. They can say that I'm not happy with the fact that you are opinionated. I'm not happy with the fact that you do this. That's their right to say that, but it's not going to change me, because it's more important for me to be myself. And the point is, everyone's got an opinion, so everyone can say that they're not happy with something about you, but the key thing we have to do is to not absorb it. Let it bounce off you, say, that's your opinion, you're entitled to it. So yeah, just it's about really just, not allowing those things to penetrate. So the fourth reason that people struggle to be themselves is, let me just 1 second. So the fourth reason that people struggle to be themselves is fear. So worried about what other people think, fear of being accepted, fear of not being accepted, fear of being judged, fear of being challenged, and just fear of being themselves. So there's too much people that are sort of worried about what other people are going to think. So it's like, if I do this, then maybe people are going to think this. If I act in this way, or if I make this decision, or if I date this person, or if I go to this place, it's all these messages that are going on in people's heads which are preventing them from living the life they want to live. And then when you actually go out there and do that thing, sorry that you are feeling sick, Mark, hopefully you get better soon. You're preventing yourself from sort of experimenting with it and seeing if what you actually think is true, but you're preventing yourself and limiting yourself from living the life that you should be living. And when you just get out there and you just be yourself and you just do what you really want to do, then what you realise is no one really cares. No one is really watching what you're doing. No one really, when you a good example is when you're on holiday and you're just like at a bar, or you're just on the beach, you're just doing your own thing and no one is really paying attention to what anyone else is doing. Everyone is just enjoying the scenery, they're enjoying the atmosphere. And even if people are like looking at you, even if people are, worried about what you're doing, that still shouldn't matter. The key thing with the whole point of being yourself is that's the priority for you. The priority is going out there and being your authentic self, not putting on this mask, not putting on this act, not pretending to be someone that you're not flashing all your money and showing off because you want people to be impressed, not making a big scene. These people that like when you're just in a restaurant, or when you're in a normal environment, a party or wherever you're at, and there's always certain people who it's too quiet, it's going too smooth, it's too nice, they have to just cause a scene. That type of person is trying to say, look, I need validation from someone. I need attention. I need. And it's coming from like a place of insecurity, because you can just sit down and have a meal with your partner or with your friends without it leading to like some massive like drama or a scene. There's always one person, whether it's a wedding or it's a party or something, that they always have to be the ones that like end up crashing out. And that's what I'm trying to say about like, there's a fear of like, maybe a fear of not being seen. Maybe for some people they have a fear of not getting enough attention, not getting enough validation. So their way of doing that is to act out. So best way to start the day. I don't know. Oh, sorry, that's a little question, a little pop-up sticker there. Is best way to, I don't know what that means. Anyway, so fear is a massive thing that will stop you from being yourself. And I think social media kind of adds to that a little bit, because I'd say that when you're on social media and you're making a decision as to get involved in it's so funny, because I'll be honest, lately I've only been getting involved in light debates, if you like. So recently it's been about Strictly. So I watched Strictly. I haven't watched it for years. I've watched it this year. What was funny is that I've been commenting on all the Strictly dances, and then one of the guy, Lewis Cope, his name's Lewis, he has been liking my comments. And I'm so glad I was saying nice things about him in his performance. And other people from the show have been liking like some of my comments. And I was so like, I was thinking that happened a few years ago with The Apprentice. I was kept commenting on The Apprentice, and one of the people from The Apprentice, unfortunately, I wasn't saying like that positive things about this person. I wasn't criticising them. I was just talking about the show, but their performance on that particular episode wasn't good. So I gave my opinion, and they came on, and then they were commenting and saying, you don't know anything. And it was just, anyway, so what I'm trying to get at really is that people a lot of times are fearful of engaging in conversation on social media. They're fearful of just engaging with people in real life. They're fearful of, worried about what people are going to think, worried about if they're going to look stupid, worried about whether they're going to be judged. And you should just sometimes get rid of all of that worry and just be yourself, and just take a few like chances, take a few risks, interact with a few people, just see what happens. Do you know what I mean? Life is for living. Life isn't for sitting and limiting yourself and just having this whole idea that like everything you do is going to be criticised, or that you're going to be rejected, or that people are going to dislike you and that sort of thing. You know, some of the thoughts that we hold are not true at all. And the only way you're going to know for a fact is by you testing those thoughts anyway in the first place. So yeah, that's fear. So the final thing that gets in the way of people being themselves, or why people struggle to be themselves, is a lack of self-love and a lack of self-acceptance. So the minute you compare yourself to another person, you are saying that you're not happy with who you are. You're not happy with where you're going and where you are. And I think, again, social media is just such a tricky thing, because if you got TikTok is one of the worst, I'd say. I'll go on TikTok for 5 minutes maximum, and every time I log on to my, because I've got a business page on there and I've got a personal page, and I'm so quick to get off TikTok, because it's just people that are kind of like, then it's not even that they're moaning and complaining, they're just riling people up with negative stuff. And it's not even true. Most of it is like false stuff. So I'll be looking, I'm thinking, that's not true. That's not true at all. But I'll just and then you just got lots of other people that are kind of been sucked into this like way of thinking, and it's just it's not actually solving what the person is like unhappy about. It's just making them feel worse, because then you have a list of 20,000 people who are all saying negative things, and they're all trying to one up each other. Yeah, that's really bad. Yeah, that happened to me as well. But then this happened to me. And what they don't realise is everyone's getting sucked into that. So no one is like lifting people out of that situation. So yeah, what I'd say is that comparing yourself to others and other people's journey, especially if it's negative, or even if it's positive as well, is just pointless, because you're unique and you're who you are. You're on your journey. Your timing will happen when it's meant to happen. So if you feel inferior to someone, So that's also like feeling inferior to other people. It means that you've put that label on yourself. You've said that you're not good enough compared to this other person. And it doesn't matter where it's come from deep down. It's the first step is for you to acknowledge that you're not inferior to someone else. Just because you might think that, you might hold that belief because that belief has been planted into you. Maybe that's been told by the media has told you that. Maybe structures in society have told you that. Maybe your parents have told you that. But you have to say to yourself that you're not inferior to anyone. Then you have to start believing it, and it might take work or time to believe it. Self-acceptance means accepting yourself for who you are and where you are. But it also can mean working towards the place you want to be. It means that you need to take time to accept yourself, love yourself, understand yourself. That takes personal development, that takes self-awareness, that takes time, energy, effort. Lots of people don't want to do that. So instead what they want to do is say, I can't be myself because when I'm myself, then this happens, society stops me. Or I can't be myself because the government is stopping me from doing that. I can't be myself because the country I'm living in. I can't do, if you see the amount of list of things that why people say they can't be themselves, then a lot of it is external. But you can be yourself. It just means there might be consequences and sacrifices to doing that, but it doesn't mean you can't do it. The other thing that comes under this lack of self-love is like feeling like something is wrong with you, feeling like you're not good enough. And again, this still comes from a deeper place, but it doesn't mean that you can't change that, you can't turn it around. You know, everything starts with like what you believe about yourself. And then the next step is if those beliefs are not helping you, if those beliefs are, you know, negative, if those beliefs are limiting you, then you can do something about that. You can decide to change those beliefs. But, you know, if you're just walking around and you just really just feel like something's wrong with you, that you are inferior, that you are not good as someone else, that you can't get anywhere in life, that you are just, you know, not good enough in general, then that is just not going to help you in any way or serve you in any way. And I know that people don't want to feel like that. So you can work on it. But the first step is saying that, you know, just because I think this way doesn't mean that it's true. Just because I think this way doesn't mean I have to continue to believe that this is actually a fact. You can say it's just a thought. So what's really important is to take stock of where you are and to say to yourself, why is it that I'm not being myself right now? What is getting in the way of me being myself? Is it social conditioning? Is it being a people pleaser? Is it childhood events or past relationships? Is it due to fear and being worried about what other people think? Is it due to a lack of self-love, lack of self-acceptance and a lack of self-compassion? Or is it another reason? Whatever the reason is, there's just no winning when you're not yourself. It's better to be yourself and to be rejected by every single person in the world, or to be yourself and to, you know, face like the consequences of that, than the sacrifice you make when you are not yourself. There's no comparison. You know, being authentic, being true to yourself, being like who you really are, going out in the world and knowing that no matter what everyone thinks, no matter what people are saying or doing, you stand strong in who you are. It's just, that's the ultimate freedom. That's what I think anyway. So it was really nice. Thanks for joining, Lewis, Mark, everyone else that joined on this live stream. I really appreciate it. Thank you for joining. And as you know, I'm doing my 5K a day for Calm. You'll see that it's not as much on this page, it's on my other page, Marianne Living Life. I've posted a few videos and a few pictures of me doing the 5K. There's literally 5 days to go. I can't believe I've done, by the time I get to the end, I'll have done 155k. I did not know I could even walk that much, because that is like, some days I've done 3.5 miles, some days 4 miles. But to do that every single day for 31 days, I mean, and my feet still in place. My feet are still intact. Yeah, so if you want to donate to that, the charity is called Campaign Against Living Miserably. You can go to their website, their Facebook page. You can see a little bit of the details I've put about what they do. It's all around suicide prevention and helping people who are struggling with suicidal thoughts. So yeah, if you want to donate to that, then you can find all the details. They'll be on this page somewhere. Thanks for joining, and anyone joining on the replay, feel free to leave your comments, and I'll speak to you all soon. Have a great week. Bye.